August 31st after he was presumably either came off the IR or was called back up because he hadn't pitched before that since May.
Right. He was in the minors, and he wasn't.
He was in the minors,
and he didn't pitch particularly well down there either.
4 2/3, 6 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, and then the last time 4 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. So, last 3 games he has thrown 18 2/3, 13 2/3, giving up 14 hits, giving up 8 runs, giving up 3 home runs in those 3 games, 1 in each one, a couple of walks. He has struck out 14. So, this is the one where you're like, 7 ERA. We got him, Skip. We're all good. But there is a little bit of swing and miss stuff there.
Yep.
And this lineup has really struggled. Like, I'm with Curtis. I do not want to be looking at the TV tonight going, we're 1-1 going into the 5th. Like, what the hell is going on here?
Absolutely not. And as I said, the Giants' bullpen is deep, and they've been good for a while. And, the good news is that their closer pitched last night. I don't know if he pitched or yesterday. I don't know if he pitched the day before. So if he's out, that helps. But they get a lot of answers in the bullpen. So, and like I said, Blake Snell's pitching on Sunday. Roop's pitching Saturday. He's pretty good. So they did miss Logan Webb, which is a break. So take advantage. Tonight's game will just be a big exhale. That's the thing. I think it would go a long way towards them being relaxed and maybe putting one or two more wins on the weekend up, and then you're pretty much in. You're pretty much coasting in.
Yeah, I think it is going to be, Blake Snell, as we know, how many walks did he have in that no-hitter earlier this year?
Oh, I think 8.
Yeah.
But I'm not positive.
But he last time out for him, 6 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts.
Oh, boy.
And
12.
Basically the same thing the start before, except, 5 innings, 2 walks, 8 Ks. So, no, not a lot of depth to his games, but they've got a good bullpen. They use it. He's got strikeout stuff. The problem tonight is just lack of familiarity. It's, again, anecdotal, but it seems like the Royals have had a lot of games where they're like, Joe Schmo is pitching tonight coming up from the minors, and he's pretty good in that game. So,
just one point on offense. One be nice thing to do would be maybe get some extra base hits because they got guys at first base way too much, which is why they seemingly hit into a double play every other inning.
Yeah.
Get someone.
Well, those are the games. Those are the games where the Royals show their offensive teeth. Is when people who are in general having poor seasons, like Hunter Renfroe or MJ Melendez, hit a 3-run bomb.
Yeah.
Or Paul DeYoung. So
who's in a funk,
right? But he's that type. He's a feast or famine type guy. He goes on hot streaks and then is cold for a while, but he's always capable of knocking one out of the yard. That's when they're productive. Home runs are too important in baseball these days because it's hard to scratch together 3 or 4 hits in a row. The days of the 15 Royals keep the line moving. With all the lack of contact these days in baseball, that's hard to do.
Too much assembly required.
Yeah. If it had been a few days ago, I'd ask you, well, at least the bullpen looks like it's kind of coming around. But no, MacArthur suddenly can't miss bats again, and he goes on the IL, and it's still a thin bullpen. It looks a little better when you get to the playoffs, and you especially with the way this divisional series would set up. If they can get through the wild card, there's a lot of off days in there. So I don't know. Yeah, they are, but I don't care. Crawl in there.
Yes.
On your belly. I don't care how you get there, just get there, and it will be impressive this year. 56 wins. We will remind people they won 56 games last year, and we're talking playoff, stretch run here just a year later. So it's a lot of fun. Danny Klinkskill is with us. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. You can find them online at eastonroofing.com. Whether it's your home or your business, Easton Roofing has you covered. Kansas City's best. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Estimates, they're always free. We had a lot of hail damage, a lot of wind damage that went on this summer. We get to the winter, you start getting some water in there, then it freezes up at night. That's when you get real problems. If you're not sure about your roof, be sure. Call Easton Roofing, 913-257-5426. They're online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Did you experience hail damage last year and never got the work done? Most insurance companies only give you a year to get the roof fixed, and if you don't get it done, you could possibly not be compensated in full for the replacement of your roof. If you've been procrastinating getting that damaged roof taken care of, give us a call at 913-257-5426, and we'll send out an expert to help you through the process. We're never pushy, we're just here to help. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
All right, the Good Sense end of the hour answer. 9 times a Royal has hit 3 home runs in one game, but only one occurred at Kauffman Stadium. Who did it?
9 times the Royals had 3 home runs. Danny Tarble did it. I was at a game that Danny Tarble had 3 home runs at Kauffman.
That was the one. July 6th, 1991 against Oakland. 8 others have occurred on the road. What's fun about that is that there have been 13 3-home run games at Kauffman Stadium and only one of the Royals.
Yeah, George Bell on opening day. Didn't he do it like back-to-back years?
Yep. I'm not sure it was back-to-back, but it's unbelievable. The last 8...
Sure as hell felt like it.
It did. The last 8 that have happened at Kauffman Stadium have happened by the other team, including most recently Matt Davidson of the White Sox back in 2018.
If you're craving a deal, visit your local Good Sense to dive into their new value meals for a limited time. Get the Lil G combo meal with a 4-inch sub, choice of chips or a cookie, and a regular drink for only $5.99. If you got a bigger appetite, Curtis, I'm looking at you. Good Sense has you covered with the Big G value meal. Get an 8-inch sub, chips, cookie, and a large drink for only $9.99. That is a great deal right there. $9.99. Get an 8-inch sub, chips, cookie, and a large drink for just $9.99. Stop by your local Good Sense to take part in all these delicious deals. Order now at goodsense.com. Make sure you're part of that loyalty club. Get free food, people. It's that simple. It's at Good Sense. Good food that makes good sense. The little G, the big G, and let's be honest, Curtis, the big G's not big enough for you.
No. Maybe.
And who am I kidding? See, I love the sandwich. I don't go as much. My kids it's always the meal with the chips and everything like that. But I love the sandwich. I love the veggies, loaded up with all the veggies. But that's a great deal.
It is.
I was at Good Sense on Saturday. Just going over to the soccer complex, watch soccer games, and
they
had
are
lunch there.
They are my Wednesday night Chiefs pregame prep meal. Yeah. Before I hop into it, I go over to the Good Sense across the way, get me a half oven roast chicken double meat on wheat, and that's my dinner every Wednesday.
Yeah, they do a fantastic job. Our friends at Good Sense, locally owned and operated, founded in Lenexa, Kansas. Paymore is locally owned and operated. That's where I'm broadcasting from here today. 8933 West 135th Street, just west of Antioch. 8933 West 135th Street. You can see their sign when you're rolling down 135th Street, paying top dollar for your old electronics. Cash, cold, hard cash right here on the spot. If there's no value, they're also happy to recycle the item. They will also wipe all old information from all the devices. No concern of identity theft. Plus, we're signing people up to win a brand new PlayStation 5, a team-signed KU basketball, a team-signed sporting soccer ball, and a Bushnell Golf rangefinder. Come on out to Paymore, 8933 West 135th. I'll be here till 6 o'clock. We do those drawings at 6. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 7, Saturdays 10 to 4, and of course a portion of the proceeds today and tomorrow is going to Big Brothers Big Sisters, thanks to the local owner Paul Kushner, who is on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters. We mentioned Easton Roofing, who proudly brings Danny Klinkskill to us each week. Joe Spiker and his team proud to be a part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters group as well. A portion of every job they do goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters. So thanks to all the bigs out there and everybody who supports a great cause of Big Brothers Big Sisters, like our buddy Paul Kushner, right here at Paymore, giving back to the community. Danny, Chiefs, Falcons. Right now they've had another game where I could ask you, lucky to survive or a great win. Either way, they're 2-0. Do you like where they're at right now, or the fact that Pacheco's now down as well? They had to bench their left tackle. Are the wins kind of masking what are maybe bigger problems than people realize because they are 2-0?
I would say that that's probably true. I think there are some problems that they have, but every team has them, and they've won the 2 games. It probably was a little more fortunate in the Bengals game, but they did what they do. My wife's watching the game. They're down by 10, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this smells like the Chiefs are going to win. I mean, she's like, you're awful optimistic I'm like, well, this is kind of what they do. And, the other team has to put the Chiefs to bed. And they did not. And to stop the Chiefs from getting a field goal is just usually now when the ball's laying on the ground and you haven't seen the flag yet on 4th and 16. Then obviously it looked bad, but it was pass interference. It was a fortunate pass interference, but you can say that two ways.
I object.
It probably would have been the defender really was trying everything he could do to stop his momentum to plow up the guy's back. But if he doesn't run up his back, then it's a completion and you're going from there. So either way, they probably were going to get the field goal and probably win the game. But, one of these times Butker's not going to make one. And yes, it was a disaster at left tackle. I was one of the worst. I watched a lot of football games, and that was like every down that he had to pass protect was, an accident waiting to happen. I mean, for Andy Reid to just bend, and now you're rotating left tackles, that doesn't sound good.
It does not sound good. That's the latest news today, is that both guys are going to play. Well, how and in what means, and are we having the tryout that should have been had in training camp? Andy Reid seemed to be buying into what other people have done for a while now, and that's like not playing anybody. Kingsley Suamataia played 25 snaps in the preseason. Maybe we would have known a little bit more about him if we'd seen him actually play in the preseason games.
I agree. It just isn't, Andy Reid still does it a little bit more than most, but you're right. You're looking at a rookie. They must, this is an indictment of football practice, I guess, or the way it's run now, because apparently they saw enough in practice that they didn't care. A lot of times they'll leave a rookie in when the second teamers come in the skill positions, and because he's a rookie, they didn't do that. They were like, you're good. You get to go out there and sit on the bench just like all the other good starters. And now, and no thought of even making it a competition with Wanya Morris. Now you're going to rotate him. It seems like you just should give the guy either stick with him and see what happens, or say Wanya Morris is going to get a chance here, and the other guy's going to observe and maybe come back in a couple of games.
We heard Andy Heck at the podium yesterday, and he said, we're fortunate to really have two really talented left tackles, young left tackles. And I was like, yeah, we're fortunate to have two really good quarterbacks. Like, it's kind of what it sounded like to me. You think you got more than one quarterback, you ain't got one, right? Because if you got one, he'll show himself.
Well, I mean, Wanya Morris has been on the squad for a couple of years. If he was so good, you wouldn't have drafted a tackle.
Exactly.
And made him the starter.
And I have to come back and say I don't know why they didn't play him more in the preseason.
Yeah.
I mean, like this is a very big mistake. It's not necessarily one that they can't overcome.
Right. Yes.
Like he might get better. He might be the guy, and just he needs the repetitions. But there's no doubt about it. There's no way to describe how it started at left tackle or how game 2 went other than they've made a mistake. Because and it doesn't really matter if I say it or any of the fans think it or not. They need to think it in that building. That's the only place that matters. And to their credit, they did. Right. Like, that's one thing that I will give this regime is, like, I always forget his name. Who was the defensive end from Ole Miss, Curtis? The first pick that Beach made. Breland Speaks. Man, they didn't keep running him out there, right? Like, they didn't go like, well, we're just, we got to justify this pick. I can't look like a boob. I moved up for this guy. No, they cut bait and ran. And when it looked like he was in trouble, they got him out of there. And I'll give him credit for that, because it would have been real easy. Like, well, I'm not going to look stupid and pull this guy. Instead, they got him out. And Andy Heck said yesterday, look, we did it with Larry Duvernay-Tardif. Who was the other guy he mentioned that they'd done it with? Austin Ryder, I think maybe?
Sounds right. I can't remember specifically which one he mentioned.
Yeah, I think it was Austin Ryder.
It wasn't Eric Fisher, was it? Did they ever have to
Eric
do that
Fisher,
with him?
Well, then that's what's amazing is Eric Fisher was a 1-1, and they played him at right tackle for a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Didn't they have Brandon Albert still?
Thing.
Yeah, they did still have Brandon Albert.
Yep.
I think they still had Brandon Albert.
To your previous point, though, that was a disaster out there at left tackle, and they won the game. Now they got a defensive touchdown. They scored less than 20 points, or they scored right around 20 points, which isn't great, but still, they won the game. They won the game with an absolute dumpster fire over there. So, yes, they can overcome it.
I think it became a dumpster fire. I don't think it started